This is the second tutorial, which will teach you how to make charts and graphs in Excel. If you've watched the first one, you'll have learned the basics. Now we're going to learn how to manipulate the data so that our graphs come out a little bit more meaningful, particularly if you've got complicated stuff like this. All right, so to start with, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Highlight this, say recommended charts, and you'll see that your data is a little bit confusing because we just got way too many variables and it's really ambiguous, can't understand what's going on. So the first thing we need to do is simplify it a little bit. And to do that, we're going to group our data together. Okay, because though this could be useful if I was trying to make a chart for maybe just year 7 compared to year 12, we want to try and incorporate all the data. So to do this, you combine it using an average. So I'm going to combine year 10 and 12 and year 7 and 9, 7, 8, and 9. And to do this, all you got to do is just go over here and put in your title. So I'm going to get years 7 to 9. And over here I'm going to write years, I'll get there, 10 to 12. And I'm going to copy the scale from before because that's fine. And now to combine them, I'm just going to make an average formula. So all formulas start with an equals in Excel. And I'm going to write the word average, open bracket. And this is 7 to 9, so I'm going to highlight the data from year 7 to 9 for 0. Press enter. It's currently set as a percentage. If that happens, just change it back to general if it hasn't done that. So my average is 1.3 between these ones here. I'm going to, in Excel, if you've made a formula like this one with a range, if you go to the bottom right hand corner of it, you'll see this little box, and what this does is it will allow me to drag it down, which will copy the formula and then just substitute the values with the ones below it. So if I click here, you'll notice it's now doing the formula with this section of my chart in my table, and if I click on this one, you'll see that the formulas moved down again. Okay, so easy way to write a formula one time and then not have to write it again. You'll notice my decimal points are really large. I just have to change them here with this little button until it's to 1 decimal point. That's usually good enough. And now I'm going to do the same thing with my year 10 to 12 equals average, open bracket, highlight. Once you're happy with that selection, press enter. Once again, set on percentage, go to general, and then just drag it down. Okay, make it to 1 decimal place. That's no decimal places. There we go. And now our data is a little bit simple. So if we highlight that and go to insert chart, you can see that our chart is a little bit easier to sort of understand. It's not so messy as before. But at the moment, it still is a little bit ambiguous, and that's because the numbers are kind of similar. So what is a good thing to do is, particularly if you don't have a huge sample size, because normally speaking, if you did a study, you'd want like, figures in like the hundreds so that your data is a bit more credible. But a cheeky way out of that is to turn these into percentages. You see this on TV all the time when they do polls and things. They give you a percentage instead of the actual number of the people doing it, and it makes the data look better than if you only had like 3 people in your questionnaire. Okay, and to do this, it's quite simple. All you got to do is create another formula. So I'm going to highlight everything that I just did then, press Control-C, Control-V, and then I'm going to delete this data that we put in just before. All right, we're going to work out the percentage. So click equals, click on the cell that you want to get the percentage of, and then divided by open bracket, the same cell, plus the other one that is included in that row. All you got to do is choose percentage, and that'll change it back into a percentage for us. And then just copy that formula down like you did with your averages, and you'll see that. And now you got to do the same thing with this one. You can just copy it across and check if it's been done correctly. It doesn't look like it, so let's just write that manually again. We're going to go this cell divided by open bracket, this cell plus that one. Okay, and if you do some quick maths in your head, 64 plus 36 equals 100, so we know that our percentages are working. Drag that down, and now we suddenly have our percentages. I keep saying suddenly, but it's not really that suddenly. Highlight, go insert, recommended charts, And you can see that one looks a little bit better. So our bar chart, it makes a little bit more sense now. A bit easier to understand. Okay, so you'd press OK. Label your axes. If you can't remember what it's called, just have a look at what your data is. So that's scale, which is music effect 0 to 10. 0 being positive, negative, and 10 being positive. That makes a bit more sense now. This one here is percentage of stakeholders, those that were involved in the study. All right, you can increase sizes. Chart title, of course, is important. So you probably just copy and paste this one once again. So how music affects studies would be the title. And if you wanted to include the sort of definitions of 0 and 10, you can, but I think that's sort of written down here, so it's all right. And there you go. So that's a little bit of data manipulation. When I say a little bit, that took us a while. And you can see that your chart looks a little bit better than it did initially. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with these next two, but that'll be another tutorial.